Have you ever noticed that we can desperately want our lives to change and yet still resist change when it finally arrives? We ask for new opportunities, we dream about becoming healthier, we imagine a different career, a stronger relationship, or a better future. And then when it's time to take the first real step, something inside us hesitates. And we call it fear or self-doubt. Or sometimes we may even call it laziness. But maybe what's happening is much older than that. Maybe our brains aren't resisting change because we're weak. Maybe they're resisting change because they're trying to keep us alive. For most of human history, familiar meant safe. The path we knew, the people we trusted, the foods we'd already eaten, the places we'd already survived. New could be exciting, but new could also be dangerous. So our brains learned a simple rule. If we're doing what hasn't killed us yet, maybe we should keep doing that. Thousands of years later, our world has changed dramatically, but our brains haven't changed nearly as much. So here's something that surprises me, even still after learning it. Comfort and happiness aren't the same thing. We can become comfortable in jobs we don't enjoy, comfortable in routines that no longer serve us, even comfortable in beliefs that quietly hold us back. Not because they're good for us, but because they're familiar. Our brains often choose a known discomfort over an unknown possibility. Not because the future's worse, because it's uncertain. So every meaningful change asks something of us: attention, energy, practice, patience. And when we build a new habit, our brains have to create new pathways instead of relying on old ones. And that's work, which means feeling mentally tired doesn't necessarily mean we're failing. Sometimes it means we're learning. So if you've ever tried to change everything at once, you probably know what happens next. We'll burn bright for a few days, right? And then we crash. Maybe that's because our brains don't like revolutions. They like evidence. Small actions repeated consistently become evidence that this new version of ourselves is safe. One walk, one page, one conversation, one healthy meal. None of these seem life-changing until one day we look back and realize that they changed their life. So today, notice one thing you've been avoiding. Not because you don't care, but because it feels unfamiliar. Now make it smaller. So small that it no longer feels intimidating. Not the whole workout, 5 minutes. Not the whole book, 1 page. Not changing your life, just changing the next decision. So maybe courage isn't the absence of fear. Maybe courage is simply becoming familiar with something that once felt impossible. We don't need to become fearless. We just need to become willing. Willing to take one small step and then another and then another. Because every life we admire was built by someone who kept walking into unfamiliar places until they eventually came home. So here's today's lab experiment. The next time you catch yourself saying, "I'm just not ready," pause and then ask yourself, am I actually unprepared, or is this simply unfamiliar? That one question might change the way we think about change itself. So thanks for spending a few minutes with us here today at the Better Everyday Lab. Until next time, I'm Dana, and this is Spruce, the lab assistant, and we both send you much love and peace.